All right. Our speaker today is Mayor Hutto. He's a lifelong resident of Wilson County. Grew up in Watertown and attended Watertown Elementary and graduated from Watertown High School. Randall earned a Bachelor of Science degree from Middle Tennessee State in 1984 and continued his education with a Master's Plus 30 degree from Trevecca. He began his career in education at Lebanon High School in 1984, and after an 18-year career at Lebanon High School, he accepted opportunity to serve as Assistant Director of Schools for the Lebanon Special School District in 2003, and then in 2010, he became the Wilson County Mayor. He and his wife Paula have been married for more than 30 years. They've got 3 kids, Alex, Megan, and Brett. Please welcome Mayor Hutto. Thank you.
Well, the first thing I want to say is that I want to grow up and be Jason Loggins. And the second thing is that I definitely want to... I can't grow up. And yeah, I would have to get a little taller, thank you for that. But I would love to be a noon Rotary member because it seems like y'all have a great time, a lot of parties going on, and so I need to be a part of that. Happy Father's Day to all of my fathers in here, stepfathers, and I hope you had a good day yesterday. It was good for us. Everybody finally got to come back home, and that doesn't happen, as all of y'all know, that as your kids get older, you can't get them all back together like you'd like to. Any Vanderbilt baseball fans in here? A few, okay. I'm a Tennessee fan, but I watched them yesterday, and they did good, so applause to them. I love coming to speak to you today. I don't know if that was me or something else here. No. Okay.
Sam again.
Sam, come on, Sam. There are a lot of friends that I have in here that I have developed over the past 8 or 9 years, and I really appreciate you. And I know most everybody in here, but I really have enjoyed the times that we've shared together. I thank you for bringing me into your family and being a part. I try to get everywhere I can across the county, and that's always tough, but I really do enjoy coming here. Victory Baptist seems to be your expo, really, because every time I come to a meeting where it's like just last Friday night or Friday night before last, it was a Mount Juliet Senior Citizens Banquet in there, and I've come to the Breakfast Rotary here, and every time you have something, it seems to be at the Victory Baptist Church or at the Chamber. So I'm here to give you a little bit about what's going on in the county, but I know that as I do these things, really and truly, you really want questions that you've got are more important than what I'm going to tell you. But I'm going to give you just a quick overview of what I see right now that's happened over the past little bit. Whatever I don't discuss, you bring up and ask me questions, and I'll go as quick as I can so we'll save time to talk a little bit. Probably right now you know that Wilson County is the fastest growing county in the state of Tennessee. That's a big deal. Some people may say, well, we're tired of growth, or we're tired of all this stuff. I mean, if it's the other side, you would be fussing as well. And so just, 23% it's grown since 2010, an unheard of amount. Wilson County ranks 7th in the nation in housing starts for 2017 and 18. And I just wrote down a few of these that I think would be interesting for you to hear what all's going on. Apartments, they're Richland South, 224 of them on 109. Vintage Station North, 192 here that just broke ground in the Mount Juliet area. Pleasant Run, 60 units there. The Venue at 109, some call it Wilson Farms, 708 apartments in that area. Residential homes under construction, $3,000 price range. Lebanon has, Waverly has 703, Stony Farms 1,200, Village Hunters Point at 594 homes, Woodall Ridge at 416 homes, Vineyard Grove 400 homes, Holland Ridge 267 homes, Stratford Station 221, River Oaks 165, Signature Place Townhomes 48. Mount Juliet has Cowden going at 344 homes and 230 townhomes, Walton's Grove at 400 homes, Linwood Station at 300 homes, Groves Reserves at 900 homes, and I could continue to go on here in Mount Juliet because they're just exploding. So that is a large part of our growth that's happening right here. when you talk about the JECDB, the Joint Economic Development Group, I want to just, these people moving in, you got to have places for them to work. And I'm happy with what's going on with G.C. Hickson and Tammy Stokes. And then you got Kenny Martin down here, you got Sarah Hastings in Lebanon. Watertown really doesn't have a person really to take care of them because of their numbers. But unemployment is at an all-time low. Historically, we had never had unemployment rates this low in the county. Got things coming in like Love's Travel Center coming out on 840. It is a high-end truck stop, but they need gas on 840 because there's nowhere to get gas if you travel that road. Rooms to Go just announced last week. A big deal there with they got a retail also spot out there that will also be a part of logistics. And you may say, well, that's just a big box here, but understand for you as a property owner, it takes 225 houses to equal the property tax that one of those big boxes bring in at one time. And of course, they normally don't make me build schools, roads, or jails with those tax dollars. That's where 225 homes will allow me to do that. So that is a win, I think, for us. And we're on the verge of some real exciting news. I can't tell you, of course, but when it happens,
You could tell us.
I know, but the TV has got me, or I would. But really something good is going to happen. There are 3 or 4 things. We just got back from Recon where we went to Vegas to recruit industry. The JECDB have just passed through the county commission a resolution to where we've always offered a pilot program. In other words, we could abate taxes for 7 years if you bring in enough money as far as development goes, and a $4 or $5 million investment here, the number of employees that you are going to pay, that you're going to hire, and the wages that you're going to bring. So we've always had that for logistics, and we've been great with Under Armour, Amazon, FedEx. We just kind of been a catcher for those because we are located in the central part of the United States right now in the southeastern portion. So they just passed, though, a white-collar pilot program. So now we can recruit white-collar industries. And for you, that'd be glass office buildings, not necessarily data centers because they don't pay a whole lot, but we're looking more on the medical side, on the lawyer side, and there are a few others that we are tracking right now. And so that would be a good thing for Wilson County. Education, I'll be brief on it. Volunteer State, of course, has broke ground, trying to buy some land, or had bought some land. I don't know for sure what I can say on that one, but they're going to come to Wilson County. The Gladeville Middle School, that maybe many of you know about, will have a ribbon cutting Sunday, July the 14th at 2 o'clock, and love to have you come for that one. 3 schools are probably on the list to be next. Be an elementary school already will be located on the campus that we already own at Mount Juliet High School. We own enough land there for a middle school and an elementary, so we'll build an elementary first. There'll be another elementary school built around the Cedar Forest area, and a high school built between 109 and 231 north of Lebanon. So those are the 3 that are probably in the next pipeline to happen. There is some conversation about a special needs school that would take care of a whole gamut of things for the school system, and I'm not for sure when they're going to bring that out, but they have talked to me about that a little bit. Talking about public safety, we have found one piece of land. We're on the verge of finding another piece of land, which is, we always look for free land if possible, to build a fire station east and west of Mount Juliet. And what that does for us, it of course helps us with our ISO ratings, but it's going to help us with our time frames because we have a station in LaGuardia, Lakeview and LaGuardia. We'll have one east and west of Mount Juliet, and then we'll have one in the Glade. And so that will give us a good coverage overall, with Mount Juliet having the 3 in the middle as they build one north next to Green Hill High School. So hopefully that will be a good thing to happen. As soon as we get the other piece of land, our hopes is to go ahead and build those 2 stations now. It's about $1.5 million a piece. We'll probably tag that in with or ask the commission to tag it in with the jail bond that we'll do here probably in August. And so we'll put that there. I won't need really anything else because all the people that live in Station 3 right now will go to one of those stations along with their ambulance and fire truck. And then I have an ambulance platoon in Providence. We'll move them like it is, but they're looking to save as many seconds as possible. So we're glad that they're continuing that conversation. The jail, as far as that goes right now, Katz and Binkley are finishing up the plans on that. That will go out to bid in a month and a half, and we'll get those bids back right about the time we pass the budget, and so we'll kind of know what to do, hopefully, on funding that jail. That'll be a 400-bed facility that if you were looking at the jail today, you would see to the right of it there's a fenced-in area. That's where that pod would go. Now, making long-range plans, once we build that, then what our plans are, we bought 6 acres behind the jail, which has a church on it right now, and we've worked it out with them where they can stay in their church for 18 months until they get theirs built. They're going to actually locate in front of the Jimmy Floyd Center there in Lebanon. So we'll take that 6 acres. We're looking at putting a multi-level court system behind the jail. Now, what that does for us is that if you're saying you're going to go to court today, I got the court at the Old College Street Church, I got the one at the jail, and of course I'm housed in the courthouse, which we have no courts in. So people never know where they're going to go. So we thought if we built that place, we would have underground parking for our judges, which we don't have today. They can settle a divorce case and go right out into the public, and you know, in the climate that we live in today, that's not very safe. We're also going to be behind the jail, so we either do a catwalk over or a tunnel under, which will save now from, right now they put them in a car and have to transport them down to the courthouse every time an inmate goes to court. They'll be able to transport those easy. And then we'll put all the courts in one building. Now, we have the court in the jail. We'll take them, of course, and move them over there. We'll probably take the sheriff's office and move him in the middle, and then that'll give us room to build another pod there 20 and 30 years down the road. So that one building will give us plenty of growth room for later on. You'll say, well, what are you going to do with the old church that you've got right now where the courts are? Our goal there is to move, if you're going to build a house, that you could go there. If you're going to build anything, we're going to move our groundwater, our stormwater, our planning department, our building codes, our zoning codes, all of those people in that building, which will allow a one-stop shop from our builders. And then the facility that we're taking them out of, we'll have for future office growth there as we need them. Right now, the clinic is in there, and they could expand, but Goodall's office is wanting to expand as well as the trustees. And so that one building will relieve pressure everywhere, and we think that is probably the smart thing to do for planning growth. We won't do all of those, of course, at one time. And we do have a group that we're putting together right now that's studying what that multi-level court system should look like a year away from now. So we're bringing those people together. Quality of life, the Commissioner of Tourism, Mark Ezell, will be at the Expo Center this coming Friday at 1 o'clock to just listen to what's going on in Wilson County. We plan on giving him a tour of the whole county and letting him know what's happening here. If you had a chance to go by the Ag Center last week, it was a pretty neat place with all those motorcycles. It was a BMW rally, and they had thousands of motorcycles there. Some were camping in tents, some were camping in campers, but a really neat group of people. I went to Pantura's before I went to church on Wednesday night, and there were a couple of tables of them sitting there, so I just went by and introduced myself. And, you know, they're all walks of life of people, of business people, doctors and lawyers that did, you know, have a hobby of driving a BMW across town, and that's a motorcycle, not a car. But really good group. They patronized our folks and really had an uneventful time at the Expo Center. We hope they come back in 3 years. So lots of thanks to Quentin Smith for landing that, along with Donna Bain for making that happen. Charity Toombs was a part of that as well. She's a Mount Juliet girl, as you know, and she's in charge of our Expo Center. And the numbers right now are really just out of the roof. I'm working on having an economic impact study done so that we can tell people, because I think people had a lot of questions early on. Is it going to make it? Is it going to stay full? And we do have some things that we want to work at, in that we want more Monday through Thursday events, more conferences. So we're looking at somebody, a private company, to invest a hotel out front that they would own. The county wouldn't own that. We would just lease them the land, which would allow for that maybe to kind of help us some in that area, and then we need more 3-day and 4-day a weekend events. Now that will cause problems, because I've got some 1-day events that this 3-day event would come and try to bump, and that's going to cause some headaches. But the 3-day events allow for people to stay in our hotels, and I know you know this, but we've got, let me just tell you the hotels that have happened just recently. Residence Inn in Mount Juliet, that was constructed in 2000 or constructed in 2019. True Hotel in Lebanon's got 190 rooms. Avid Hotel just broke ground. It's going to be 87 rooms located on the Hartman Drive there. Staybridge Suites in Mount Judah, 100 rooms being constructed. Fairfield Inn Suites, Lebanon, 90 rooms, and of course the My Place in Lebanon as well. So a lot of hotels being built. Why does that matter to you? Hotel motel tax is part of what we take in as revenue, so we don't have to get it from property tax. And we are challenging, we channel all of that hotel motel tax now. It funds the Ag Center. There's no property tax that goes to the Ag Center anymore. Hotel motel tax funds the tourism department. And then there are two other funds that some people call giveaways that we give away to Chambers and History Museum and maybe the Tucker's Crossroads softball team or the Mount Juliet Little League team. Those things, that money comes out of those two funds. Those are also funded by hotel motel tax and not your property tax dollars. And so we thought that was a smart move economically there. Transportation, we got road projects going crazy. We've got 109, as you well know, that's going leaps and bounds right now, and they're making great progress. 141 coming in from Hartsville, I-40 being widening right now on the interstate past 840. We have set out some letters to our state and local folks about widening the road between 109 and Bender's Ferry, Highway 70. So we're trying to get that in the move and get that done. It's about a 2.9 mile stretch, so we want to try to get that taken care of here soon. New Central Pike Interchange is on a 5-year window now, so you'll see that pretty soon. And the emissions testing, which I get asked all the time, has passed the first leg and now should be winding down. In about a year, you won't have to go to admissions anymore, and I hope you'll be happy about that. Finances, we just refinanced the bond, and we can refinance those as they come open. This last one we did, we're saving you $3 million in tax dollars because we refinanced it to a lower interest rate. Still the same amount of time for payout, didn't extend the length of it any time, but we did save money by just having a lower interest rate, and so we're happy about that. Probably over the last 7 or 8 years, we saved about $10 million in doing that. Of course, that's just being here at the right place at the right time. Nothing any of us could have taken care of or on our own. It just the interest rates were where they needed to be. Sales tax, and I have this asked to me a lot. 3 times out of the last 100 months has it been lower than the previous month, the previous year. You continue to just knock that out of the top, and again, that's another one of our revenue sources, and we're thankful that we have that growth there. Pretty much that's it. I did cover funding of the jail. That's probably my next ticket item that I'll have to worry about, and I know some questions were always going to be asked, are you going to raise taxes? You know, our goal is not to raise taxes, if at all possible. There were a lot of conversations back when we started building North Green Hill High School, and everybody says, well, how much are you going to raise my taxes? And, you know, we said the same thing we're going to do with the jail. When it comes time that we get the amount of money the jail's going to cost me, $40 million, whatever it's going to be, adding on probably those 2 WEMA stations at $1.5 million apiece, if the commission allows to do that. Probably a convenience center in the West Wilson area. I need one there. I've got one everywhere else. So if I can find land, and right now I've asked for Mount Juliet to kind of help me locate where do you want that at. I mean, I think, you know, if you want a convenience center, you kind of tell me where you want it. I don't want to come tell you where we would like to put it at. But if we get that, we would add that to it. So those would be the things that we would add, but we would find out how much money that we need. And then we would look at our debt service account, and if we've had enough growth that will fund that, there'll be no tax increase. If there is one, then we'll come back and we'll have a conversation. Is it adequate facility tax? That's that tax on the new home that comes in, or is it property tax, or is it wheel tax, or is it sales tax? Back out for a vote again probably in 2020. So those are my 4 sources I get to choose from, but I try to make sure that if people want to start talking property tax, because that sells newspapers, but at this point in time, you know, we're not thinking of that nature. I think there's a lot of conversation around us. A lot of counties around us are doing that. I talked to Smith County the other day, and they're doing 49 cents, and Williamson, I think, is doing 10 or 15, and several cities seem to be talking about that, so they kind of get the conversation going. But hopefully we will do our best to avoid that at all possible. Special projects, and then I'll let you ask me questions if you'd like to. We do have a Rules Parks Advisory Board, and we're doing some neat things trying to improve the parks in the rural area. And we picked the Glade as our first one. as we started working down there was a lady that had a child that passed away suddenly, and so when she heard that we were doing this, she came in and she actually raised about $10,000 and put in a handicap playground there, which we thought was really neat. We've gone back now, and with the help of Enbridge, which used to be Spectrum Energy, and Blue Water, which bought out Horizon, we're going to put them a volleyball court in, sand pit volleyball court, so the community can come out and play, and a walking trail. I didn't know how much was involved in a sand pit volleyball court, but it's got to be 2 feet deep. You got to do a layer of rock. You got to put some filter down and some sand on top of that, and so it's not as easy as I envisioned. Just we're going to dump some sand out there and spread it out, but they didn't want to go that route. I'll tell you another neat little project. Ron Pavin, the AD at Cumberland University, called me the other day and said, "Hey, I got 60 men and women, coaches, that need somewhere to go do something in the county. What can you do?" I got them about 2.5 hours for an in-service, and so we looked around. Of course, we own 3 boat docks, the county does, that we kept from being shut down a long time ago. So they're going to go out there and they're going to work and pick up limbs and cut some bushes and sweep and pick up trash. And so a neat little project there. These are things that don't cost you a dime, that are good. And I got 5 other projects going on. Senior Rides Wilson, that we're looking for volunteers to help us get going there, and that's kind of like Uber for seniors over 60. I could tell you more about that, but I won't spend your time on that one. I got volunteers that we're trying to hook with nonprofits organization going on. Homeless Coalition with John Grant and Jim Kittle in our office, and Drug Free Wilco that's really hit the ground running and done a lot of good things so far. So that's just a quick overview. Hate to bore you with that, but I'll try to give you all I could, maybe give you some thoughts about asking questions, and I'll take questions now. Outlet Mall, a lot of conversation about it going away. I do think they were trying to sell the ownership of it. There has been a few stores go away, but I don't think it's going to close completely. That's what we had heard early on, but we hadn't heard anything lately since they said, no, we're just trying to find somebody to buy it. Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain why the camera's here?
I can. PEG channel is something that the county commission and Miss Teresa Bush is behind that camera right now, and she has a group of students that help her from Wilson Central and Lebanon and Mount Juliet high schools that come in, and she kind of pays them to do that. But it's a public education channel is what it is, and it's $198 on Charter. She is working with TDS and Comcast to get it here in Mount Juliet. It's on channel 99 on AT&T, and of course it streams live on the web. But she covers everything that she can. She covers our education and our budget committee meetings on Thursday nights. She'll cover our county commission meeting tonight, but then a lot of other things. And when I was talking today with her, as I do kind of a pre-show before the commission meeting, and I told them about coming and speaking to y'all, she said, "Hey, can I come cover that?" So she looks for things to cover here in Mount Juliet. So if you have good activities, let her know all across the county. Just give her a call, and she would love to be a part of that. I've already talked to Mark about that with some things there where maybe she could come and cover the ECD meetings on the Fridays that we have those, which are already always interesting. But it is an educational tool to get out information of things that are going on in the county, which I know you already knew that. But our hopes is that we do a better job of being transparent in government. We've started a newsletter. We've tried to do better on our website. Many of you may have a bad taste about government, and I don't want you to have that. I want you to know that anything you want to ask me today, you can ask me. As I was talking with the gentleman here, my job is to provide you services, whatever you want. If you don't want to pay for them, I can't provide them for you. Nobody gives me anything free hardly here, and so, but we want to do the best we can with the money we got. And I'll tell you, I'm just like you. I want to go home and go to sleep at night and sleep well, and so I'm not going to cheat you, and I hope I don't cheat myself. And so, that's our goal, is to do the best we can at what we do. And this just gives a chance for you to find out what's going on at the county commission level without having to get up and come to our chambers the third Monday of each month at 7 o'clock. But she does so much more than that, and I applaud her and the commission that made this happen. Bobby Franklin was one of them also, the commissioner from down here. There used to be a commissioner that was here. Tell me her name. She was blonde-headed and she left right before I got in office. Heather Scott. And Heather had the same idea, let's do that. But in that particular form, it was going to cost so much, they kind of backed off. And then there were some people that said, well, everybody will get up and grandstand and make a big deal if you cover them. We have not had that happen, and I hope we don't. I think they've been pretty, if anything, nervous about the camera being on them than anything else. So it's been a good educational tool. Thanks for letting me say that. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, if I could trouble you, about 2 weeks ago, we had a commissioner come in here and tell us a little bit about the finances and the funds trying to be associated with the fire department and things like that. But he stated that the hotel motel tax is strictly funding the Parks and Recreation Department. Can you help me understand why there's a deviation between what you said and what he said?
I will. The simple answer to that is he's with the city of Mount Juliet and I'm with the county of Wilson.
Right.
Okay? And so his hotel motel tax that he gets is going to fund what you're talking about. I think they were talking about taking some of that money from the hotel motel tax that did the parks and stuff and transferring that over maybe to fund the fire department. It was the last conversation I had with him at Mark's Place. Our hotel motel tax that we get, which is 5%, funds the four things that I told you we do. Ag Center, which I heard from day one when I got in, hey, that Ag Center is just a black hole, you know, it's just sucking all our property tax dollars out the window. So we said, hey, okay, let's do away with that. Let's fund it with tourism dollars. And that also, by the way, was kind of a catch-22. We said, okay, Ag Center, here's how much your budget is. We're going to give you this much of the hotel motel tax. Let's just say it's 50% just to be for the sake of argument. So if you get more people to spend the night in our hotels, that 50% that you got last year, this year is going to grow, and it did grow $80,000. So it encourages them to make people come here, spend dollars, shop with you guys, and stay in our hotels and go. And so that was another real reason we did that. But so that's where ours go, and that's the difference in his.
There's 2 layers of that tax.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we get 5%, and they get whatever they're charging. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
On the, when you're talking about the Central Pike interchange, are you going to extend Central Pike and make it like 4-lane towards Gladeville or that to put up with the new school and all the homes coming in the area?
Yes, sir. Several of those roads, and Mark asked me to do this last time that I did meet the mayor at his place. We brought a map of those roads that are going to be affected by the Central Pike interchange. And the city of Mount Juliet actually funded the money to have the study done because TDOT said, I'm not going to put an interchange here if the arteries that affect this interchange are not improved as well. And so Mount Juliet put the money up, had the study done, and so they turned that back to TDOT. TDOT took that, and with the Improve Act that Susan Lynn was a large part of making sure that happened, have got those 3 already what we call in the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Plan. So those are already on the docket to be done. We're hoping those will be done simultaneously or before the interchange will be done. And so to answer your question, do I have it in my mind 4 lanes or 3 lanes or 5 lanes? I do not have that, but all of those interacting with the Central Pike interchange are going to be improved.
Does the emissions going away, does that impact the county in any way?
It really doesn't. We got out of the $10, which now is $9, we used to get a quarter. I think we get 75 cents or $1 now for each one that goes there. So it's penny and change, yeah, compared to our budget, yeah. So I mean, it's a good lose for you guys not have to go. And we felt like over time we didn't need to be going anymore, you know, because of the cars that have been improved and the way emissions are now. So we think it's a win, but we're not going to lose any revenue. Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about, you know, the sales tax increase that we voted on and almost made it? I had 2 questions, you know, what it was going to fund, as you and I discussed earlier, and will it come up again? And does it, if it does, is there a way of marketing it better so that the community itself understands the value?
Okay. The question was about sales tax, and the last time it voted, it got big, 25,000 to 27,000, as you know, and it really got there because back during the North Green Hill High School conversation, everybody says don't raise my property tax, and started talking all that stuff, you know, and so, you know, and how that gets started, just so you'll know, is that the reporter will call and say to my finance director, hey, if you're going to build the North Green Hill High School, it's going to cost $110 million, and you had to raise taxes, what's that going to cost on the tax rate? Well, so then Aaron knows it's going to be 18 cents on the tax rate. That doesn't mean we're going to raise it 18 cents. He just asked that question, and so that's what gets put out a lot of times. So we said back then, let's don't raise taxes. And we had several of them that said, hey, let's raise the AFT, the adequate facility tax, because we got people moving in here, they're costing us spending this money, let's go ahead and charge them. And we said, if we don't have to raise taxes, let's just don't raise taxes to be raising taxes. And so we got to the point that we said, okay, how much is it going to cost? We put the bids out. We said, we've got the money here. We don't need to raise taxes. And so one of the commissioners said, hey, look, we got by this time, but you're talking about these other 3 schools that's coming, and the school system give us $500 million worth of schools is going to be built over the next 10 years. And the point to understand there is that we're not going to do them all at one time, and it'll probably be more than 10 years when those are built. But they have to project what's going to happen. And so anyway, he spoke up and said, hey, let's put the sales tax out and let the people say how they want to be taxed the next time. Because you have to vote on sales tax. I can't raise sales tax. You either voted in or you voted out. Now on wheel tax, I can say, hey, let's raise it $25, and unless you get 10% of the voters that voted in the governor's race, that they call it backup referendum, it stands. I can raise the adequate facility tax, and you don't have any say-so about that, because you elected those people who represent you and speak for you, and the same thing goes with the property tax. So he just simply said, put it out to vote. If the people say no, the next time we fund something, we'll know sales tax is off their table. It's either going to be wheel tax, adequate facility tax, or property tax. And so that's why we did that. Now, I believe it is a good way to tax people. It gets everybody. It gets 30% of that tax is from visitors that travel through here, that's paying for your services, which I love. And so I think that's good. It's a 0.5%, 925 to 975. That's as far as it can go. There's been some conversation with the legislatures that they might come in at some time for all the counties that wasn't taking that last 0.5%, and they may take it and do something with it and raise everybody to 975. And I didn't want that fear to happen either. It's about $5 million really on the year to bring in. So he said, let's do that. And when he did that, that was in August. And he said, put it on the November ballot. So by the time we got everything approved, I had 45 days to educate you, which is tough. And then to educate you, I can't say, hey, Mark, you either vote for the sales tax or I'm going to raise your property tax. That's against the law. You can't put that on the ballot either. It just got to be you vote for a sales tax or not. So that sales tax was a nickel on $10. And I felt like that was good for my seniors. My seniors say, hey, I want a fixed income, don't raise my property tax, don't raise anything really. But I'm thinking if you can afford a $10 bag of groceries, a nickel will be okay, I think. And so that's the route we did. We hired the same firm that Williamson County did, because they actually did it last year as well, and they moved theirs from 925 to 975. So we hired the same firm. They started educating people. Early voting came in, and I was listening to it on the TV that night. It was 11,000 against the wheel tax, the sales tax, and 2,004. So I thought, well, not going to happen tonight. And then as time goes on, it gets closer and closer, and we go back and look, and what happened was, but the people that voted in early voting was the ones that really swayed it. Had they have had an education that we sent out, and again, we couldn't be for or against, we just had to state the facts, it probably would have passed. And it is a good thing. Half of sales tax goes to education by law, so half of it's going to where you want it to go, because that's my largest debt. 94% of my debt is with education, 6% is on other stuff. The other half goes to the city it was created in. So that's what Mount Juliet lives really off of. It would have been a large windfall for them, as well as the city of Lebanon and Watertown. And the sales tax is created in the county. We take that, we get that, we put it towards building schools. So really, all of it really goes to building schools besides what the cities have. So it's a win-win. The city of Williamson County, Mayor Anderson, a lot better than I am, because I did ask our mayors this going in, because I thought it might happen. He got every city in Williamson County to commit 3 years of their sales tax portion, that half I told you they get, to schools, along with his, and then after that, they got to start collecting. And you would say, well, why would he want to do that? Well, because they knew he's fighting for the tax. They're going to give it up for 3 years. They didn't have to fight for it. And then on year 4, they gained from here on out. And so it was a win for them. We didn't have a long enough time really to educate. You can blame me, but at the end of the day, time is whatever it is. And we will not do a special election. That's about $100,000. So I don't think you'll see any of our folks doing that. But probably this August, when we figure out what we're going to do with the jail, I assume one of them will probably say, hey, Mayor, let's start early this time and put it on the 2020 ballot, because it seems like the people sort of maybe was leaning that way once we told them what it was about. So I think you'll see it again, probably in 2020. Okay. Other questions?
The $5 million, was that the county's portion?
$5 million is, I think it's $5 million total, and no, it's not, that's a total amount. I can give you numbers on what.
Cities each had a big stake.
Oh, they did. I could give you exactly what they would have gotten.